listen to
Hey
this.
everybody, my name is Raw Sky and welcome to the Women's Health Podcast. We are very excited today. There is a woman that really needs no introduction, and that is Lissa from Raw Food Romance. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Sky. Thank you for inviting me to this. I'm really excited to chat about this topic because it's been something I've been diving into recently because, changes happen and and then we start to investigate further, right? Because we have to be knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. So thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited for this.
Oh, we love having you. And we've got Dulce, Marabella, Larissa, Marsha, and Kiko on the panel as well. Hey guys.
Hello. Thank you, Sky, again for organizing this. I'm so excited to hear what Lisa has to say and question her.
I love that. I love that so much. Now, let me give you a little overview in case you don't know who Lissa is. Lissa is a Wonder Woman, and I could stop there, but I will go on and say she's been following a raw vegan diet since 2014. She found a passion in creating unique and delicious recipes and sharing what she has learned over the years about raw food and cravings and mindset and the microbiome, building a strong lifestyle, habits like planning, prep, and sleep, exercise, meditation, and more. She's recently been exploring the perimenopause side of health since noticing slight hormonal shifts, and is excited to explore and share and support herself hormonally during this grand transition in her life. So without further ado, Lissa, I will put you on the main stage, and if you just share about your journey, but then bring us into where you're at with the hormones, that would be amazing.
All right, let's go. So, like you said, in 2014, I went raw. So I've known about raw food since 2004. That's when I kind of discovered it, started resonating with it, understanding it more. But for the decade between 2004 and 2014, I would always do like a high fat, low calorie version. And I wasn't eating a huge amount of fruit. Like I do berries, apples, those kinds of things. Because I was scared of fruit back then. And I would eat really high fat, lots of avocados, nuts, seeds, and I had oils in my diet back then. So it was really hard to maintain a raw diet that way. I had a lot of cravings. Again, I was under eating and it was just a struggle. And I would do other diets here and there, blah, 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 for those 10 years. In 2014, I watched Forks Over Knives, Earthlings, and Cowspiracy all in one day, and I became vegan ethically. So from there, I was like, well, raw makes the most sense because that's what I've always known. And I decided to do raw. But this time I did the low-fat, high-calorie, fruits and vegetable-focused version of raw. I ate a lot of vegetables, greens, sprouts, ferments, and fruit. I think they all have a special place to play in our diet. So I've been doing that for 11 years now. When I first went raw, in the first year and a half, that's where the majority of my changes happened. I lost 70 pounds. My acne that I had since I was a teenager cleared up, my cystic acne, my hormones balanced. Like in the first probably 8 months or so, I noticed that my periods were getting regular. They were every month. Whereas before I was raw, it would go 3 to 9 months without a period and they'd be really painful. So I've always had kind of issues with my hormones. But when I went raw, they balanced out. So that's kind of the story of the raw thing. Fast forward 11 years. Now I'll be 46 in December, so not too far away from now. And I feel like I'm kind of in the middle, maybe in the beginning middle stage of perimenopause. I have a video for my YouTube channel that's coming out next week on Sunday, where it talks about the things that I've been doing to support myself through this stage of life. And since that video, I have also added some herbs, rhodiola, ashwagandha, ginseng, kind of a blend of herbs, because herbs are raw. Most of them are dried at low temperatures to preserve the beneficial nutrients in them. So I feel that those have been really helpful, especially in the summer that we've had. It's been absolutely crazy, like with Nate's emergency surgery, him being in Oregon for 7 weeks, and just the craziness of the summer. There's been a lot of stress in my life. So I feel like that those herbs have really helped to balance my hormones to the best of their ability. But I have noticed slight shifts, like my periods. I think the biggest shift is that my periods have become like anywhere from 21 to 26 days apart, which is not normal for, the past decade that I've been raw. They're just getting shorter and shorter. And that is one of the symptoms of this stage of life, is your periods just get erratic as you're moving closer to that time where you just stop bleeding. So mine are getting closer, probably before they get longer apart. And I've noticed that. And I've also noticed just like a little more, I'm more emotional. Like some little things just kind of make me like super extra emotional. So that's another reason for the herbs. But yeah, I've been doing some things like I try to make sure that I have fenugreek sprouts in my days. So mostly every single salad, I'll have at least a half a cup to 1 cup of fenugreek sprouts. And these are really, really, really supportive for hormones, especially in perimenopause and menopause. And I have also been trying my best to have maca, raw maca powder. So for those who don't know, maca is a root vegetable, and they dry it at low temperatures and make it into a powder for the raw version. And the raw maca is really supportive for the hormones. I've also started walking a lot more, which has been a really big change in my life. We try to get at least 10,000 to even, I like to aim for 20,000 steps a day. If I have the time, I will do that, or 25,000 even. Like I've been walking a lot lately. And we walk with weighted vests. And the reason for the weighted vests is to increase bone density, because as we age, as our estrogen dips, we can lose bone density. So I've really been adding a lot of that to my life. I carry approximately, so my weighted vest is 16 pounds, and the backpack with the water is 18 pounds. So, or with a weight. So the backpack with the water is 10 pounds plus a 16 pounds. So I carry 26 pounds when I walk the 10,000 steps. So that is really important. And we had a DEXA scan in February, and we're going to be doing another one in September, because I want to see if adding that weight just in the walks has done anything to further increase my bone density. It's like a game that I like to play. I like to test the microbiome and then tweak it and see if I can change it or whatnot. But yeah, those are some of the main things. Also getting my sleep more on point, which is super, super important, especially for us women. Lack of sleep has been linked with Alzheimer's and dementia, and 1 in 2 women get dementia. So something I really, really want to prevent. Adding more berries, like we do wild blueberries now almost every day in our smoothies. We've also added parsley every single day to our salads for detox support. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my hormone stuff.
Thank
Recently,
you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Let me bring everybody back up. I
Yeah.
have a list of questions after that as well, but to the floor. Does anybody have? No, Kiko has questions. So why don't we start with Kiko?
Well, I had I think Sky said it perfectly. Wonder Woman, Lisa. And, every time I talk to her, I just cannot, I have such deep respect for Lisa, and her success there's no secret behind it. It's, she works towards it, and she's very constructive. She's very, she puts effort every single day, and no wonder she's doing great, right?
Thank you, Kiko. You're so sweet.
But it's true. You are my inspiration, and to many people. And I've learned so much, and I'm thinking of including more of what you have mentioned. I know that you have been trying to put 20,000 steps or plus, but I didn't know that you were adding weights. Like, how far can you go?
Kiko, of course she was. There's always another level to Lisa. She's always leveling up.
Oh, you guys, I can go. The furthest I've gone with that amount of weight was about 23,000 steps, which takes probably about 2.5 hours to do that many steps. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know exactly how many miles it is, probably like 12, I'd say. But yeah, it's a lot. And I have to, you have to have really good shoes and you have to work up to it too. Like not everyone can put 26 pounds on and, go walk. I recommend people start with 5 to 10% of their body weight in pounds on their
Mhm.
back. So usually even just 5 pounds. What I like to mention too is like, if you have like a Camelback with your water and you put like a weight or some books or even more bottles of water in the backpack, that is just enough weight for you to start with before you can, upgrade to like a weighted vest or something. Cause they are, I mean, not that they're super expensive, but they're, it was $50 to get my 16-pound weighted vest. So they are a little bit of an investment. So if you aren't used to that much weight, you might want to start off just putting some weights in your backpack. That's what I did when I first started. I put I have this like 8-pound dumbbell that I put at the very bottom of my backpack. So between the 8-pound dumbbell, the 2.5 liters of water, and the backpack itself, that was 18 pounds. So I started there. And just the backpack with the water was 10 pounds itself. Like I just weigh it, right? So it's nice to start out slow and work your way up. And then, as you get more conditioned, you can add more weight and things like that. And another reason, like a side reason for doing that is Nate and I like to go overnight backpacking. So we have like our big like hiking backpacks where we pack our tent, our food, and all the gear that we need and all the water that we need because we're in the desert. There's like no streams that we can pull from. So we have to bring all our water up there and we'll hike up to the top of a mountain. We'll pitch our tent. We'll eat our food. We brought burgers up there one time, and wraps we'll bring up there. So in order to carry a 40-pound backpack, I need to condition myself to be able to do that and to take them up on the mountain. And we do it all raw, which is really great. But yeah, just work your way up, and including more of the weight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Jennifer also talked about the importance. Jennifer Diamond, she
Yes.
has the best.
Yes.
But I always thought that having a weight on your shoulder is not a great thing. Like I would prefer to have it around the waist.
Mhm.
But do you have anything to say on that?
When you have it as a weighted vest, like it's different than the backpack. The backpack, you have a
Mhm.
lot of the weight kind of pulling you back, sort of. Whereas with the weighted vest, it's more of an even weight, like front
Yeah.
and back. And it
Right.
feels actually pretty good. Like once you get used to it, and you don't have to wear it all day. Like they say, usually just 20 minutes to 45 minutes. That's what I've heard. And if you can do it longer, then that's better too. But it's like, leaner people have less body weight on their bones. And that's why people who carry a little bit more weight naturally on their bodies have denser bones because the bones have to, carry all that extra weight. So they tend to have a little bit more denser bones than leaner people do. So that's why it's important to add that extra weight for the tension to kind of stimulate the bones. And I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, but there's like an electromagnetic thing that happens with the tension. That's why weightlifting is so important for maintaining bone density. It like creates this like electromagnetic pressure in the bone, in the cells, which stimulates the calcium to be absorbed. And, like it actually makes stronger bones with that tension. So yeah, if you prefer having it around your waist, I mean, any extra weight on is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
important. Thank you so much. I have other questions, but yeah, I'll let other people.
I'm an open book. Ask me everything.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
Who else wants to ask a question?
I would love to ask. First of all, I want to say I love your recipes. They were super awesome in the beginning of my journey to help just make raw food so fun. But going back to the beginning of your journey a bit, I know that the raw foods really helped for you to help balance your hormones and clear your skin. Were there any other things you would say like hugely contributed to helping with your skin health and, the cystic acne? Because I know a lot of people, are trying to heal that with this type of lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Because I dealt with like the cystic acne for my entire adult life. I would say like it didn't go away until I was about 35 when I first started raw. It was about 4 or 5 months I stopped actually breaking out with the cysts. Um, but I had that since I was 15, so like 20 years I had cystic acne, and it was just horrible. I would say the biggest thing that helped with my skin, and this is what I only discovered in the last couple years, and looking back on my life, I would say this is the reason, is fixing my microbiome, fixing my gut. When I first went raw, I didn't have the funds to eat a lot of tropical fruit because in Canada it wasn't as widely available, and plus it was like $8, sometimes $10 for a pineapple, and I was just not able. Oh yes, Sky's sharing my before and after
It's
skin.
dramatic. It's, if anyone hasn't seen, like, that is a huge hormone balance that you did.
Yeah, it was definitely incredible as well. It was my favorite change out of all of them, aside from my gut health. The weight loss was like a bonus, but yeah, I think getting my microbiome on point, because I ate so much variety. I didn't have access to all, as much of the tropical fruit as some of the other raw foodies were. So I ate, bananas, dates, apples, that kind of thing. But I focused hugely on the savory. And plus I'm a savory girl. I'm like, if I have a choice, I'm probably going to choose savory unless I'm feeling sweet. But I'm mostly going to choose savory. So I was eating big salads, lots of sprouts, lots of different greens. And I would try to get as much variety in as I could because that's what I could afford. And I honestly think that that was a huge benefit to me that I didn't realize until I learned about the microbiome, and I kind of connected the dots, and I was like, that must be it. Another thing too is the high hydration level of a raw food diet, because we're getting so much water in our foods, and that probably helped a lot. But I think it really was gut related. Plus I had like a nervous, like I would touch my face and I would pick at them and stuff because I was always anxious. And I think that was just kind of a subconscious thing. But when I went raw, I noticed that my anxiety levels dropped dramatically, and I was no longer kind of touching my face. Now, like every once in a while, I'll, it's kind of like a reaction. I'll just like naturally just like touch my face, but there's nothing to play with. So it's really interesting, the habits that we build. But yeah, definitely I would say it was the gut that made the biggest difference, is getting that on point.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
It's such a beautiful transformation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It really is. Anyone else have any questions? Go, Marsha.
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. I just want to say I've also been really inspired by all of your recipes, and particularly the nice cream. I really enjoyed experimenting with all of that. So fun. But regarding your gut biome, I was just curious if you had also, was it beneficial, or have you even done like any sort of cleanse, or like a water or juice, or even parasite type cleanse, or did you do it all specifically just with the raw foods?
That's a great question too. And I see somebody also in the chat is asking about the psyllium husk. Really quickly, the psyllium husk is actually insanely awesome for the gut microbiome. It feeds a lot of our gut bacteria, including Roseburia bacteria, which produces butyrate, and that's anti-inflammatory and gut healing. So if you have issues, starting with a small amount of the psyllium and just working your way up, like doing it daily consistently to feed the microbiome, it actually can help heal leaky gut and other gut issues. So yeah, psyllium is an amazing gut food. And to answer your question, it's really interesting because the first, I would say, 10 to 15 years of like being in natural health, I was exposed to everything. I did juice fasts and water fasts and parasite cleanses. And I even had like a zapper machine that like would supposed to zap your parasites and stuff. Like I did a lot. I did the gallbladder flush, liver cleanses like crazy. But nothing really helped me because I wasn't changing the foundation of what I was doing every day. So when I went raw, I decided not to do any of that stuff. I wanted to just go raw and just focus on hyper nourishing my body and not doing any extreme things, because I had a tendency to like not get addicted to that, but I didn't want to fall into like an extreme kind of a lifestyle that I didn't want to do long term. So I wanted to just do raw food. And that was what finally changed, because I had candida overgrowth for 15 years of my life. I was diagnosed at 19. And from there I did 9 months of the psyllium husk, caprylic acid, bentonite clay cleanse, and I was doing low sugar, high fat. At that time I wasn't vegan, I was eating animal products and stuff, but that didn't, like, it kept the symptoms at bay, but it didn't get rid of them. I still had, the cravings and the rashes and the urine infection or bladder infections and all of the candida issues, the gut issues, dysbiosis. I wasn't finding any relief in any of that. So, but when I went raw, I was just like, I'm just going to release it all. And I'm just going to focus fully on whole food, raw, and just enjoy doing that. And because I had already dealt with it, all of these issues for most of my life, and I wasn't like expecting anything from it. I just wanted to hyper nourish myself. And within a year and a half, all of my candida symptoms, my hormones, everything balanced out just all on its own from feeding my microbiome. And yeah, so I didn't do any of those when I went raw in 2014. So yeah.
That's amazing. Actually, it's very validating that just the raw diet alone is so powerful.
It really is. And Nate and I got into microbiome testing in about 2021. And when we first tested, our overall score was 83%. At least mine was. I don't remember what Nate's was. It was close. But 83 out of 100 was kind of like the overall score. And I thought that was pretty good, considering I had so many gut issues. And I wish I would give anything to have a gut microbiome test before, like the day before I went raw. I would love to see how that has changed over the years. And when we did the first test, I was only 7 years raw at 83%. And the last test that we did was over 96% out of 100 for gut testing. And that was just in the last like 4 or 5 years that it's further improved. So it really goes to show how long it can take to really fully grow the microbiome with consistency, fiber variety. We eat a lot of ferments and onions and garlic and greens and sprouts. And we also do with our fruit as well. We eat a lot of fruit, but we do focus a lot on that. We eat a lot of cruciferous veggies. My myrosinase, which is a longevity enzyme in your gut, is super, super, super crazy high from all the cruciferous that we eat. So yeah, it's really interesting. The gut health is fascinating.
Amazing. Thank
Lisa,
you.
you do consultation and coaching on that as well, right? Because I just want to mention that she did like a short version of my microbiome test results, and that was amazing. If anyone is listening and have done or interested in doing microbiome test, I highly, highly recommend reaching out to. Lisa, it's okay, right?
Yeah. If they get a microbiome test and they book a consultation, I charge $125 US an hour to go over stuff. They can send me their microbiome test results, and I can look them over, kind of, see what's going on. And then we can talk about like ways to improve, lifestyle things that you can do to further grow and enhance your microbiome. Because I feel like the microbiome is our forgotten our forgotten organ. And it's actually considered an endangered species because of our diets, our modern diets. Like we don't have the microbiomes that we did way back in the day when we ate a crazy amount of variety out in the wild trying to survive, right? So nowadays, with the low fiber diets that we have, our sedentary lifestyles, the sleep that's totally out of whack. Like I just heard a study where they said, like they polled people and they asked them if they get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. And the people who said they got 8 to 9 hours of sleep, they wore like a sleep headband that tracked their brain waves. And almost all the people who said they got 8 to 9 hours of sleep because they're in bed for 8 to 9 hours were only getting 5 to 6 hours of actual sleep every night. So even though you might think you're getting enough sleep, you might not be. So there's that as well, you know, all the stress and the cortisol, and because we're talking about perimenopause, you know, when your estrogen dips, so your sleep is disrupted. So it's hard to get that full sleep. And, you know, studies show that sleeping less than 6 hours a night is one of the leading factors to Alzheimer's and dementia. And we don't want that, right? So we have to cleanse the brain. And the brain is only cleansed while we sleep. It has nothing, like you can't do anything diet wise to clean your brain. You need to sleep to get that fully detoxed.
Yeah.
So I'll just bring this up. Sorry, just quickly. Where did somebody get that test?
So there's a few places. In Australia, I think it's microbiota.au, I think. Don't quote me on the website, but you can Google search microbiome testing in your country, because there's different countries. You can't always use this. Like we use Ombre, which is OMBRE lab. That's the one that we use. We do the test, which is just an at-home test. They ship you a box with like a swab, and you take a rice-sized sample of your stool that hasn't touched anything. And you put it in this little vial of liquid and you ship it off, and then they test the microbiome and send you results, and they give you tips and ideas and stuff. What we do is we download that data and we upload it to a different website called BiomeSight, SIGHT.com. And that one is in the UK. So if you're in the UK, that's a great one. We would love to test with BiomeSight, but we can't get that here in the US, as far as I'm aware. There's also, for the Canadians watching, Viome.com. It's not biome, it's Viome with a V. That one is, they're US. So if you're in the US, you can get Viome too, but they do Canada. So you can get that test. It's a little more expensive because the shipping is a lot, because you're shipping live body samples over the border. So it is a little more expensive for shipping, but you can get that one done. So those are a few places, but Ombre Lab is the one that we do. And we're testing only once a year now. We used to test twice a year while we were like playing around with it, but now we just test once a year just to make sure. And on a side note, for those who have been hearing about what's happened with Nate and his emergency surgery and all the antibiotics that he's been on, he's got one more round of antibiotics because he just had the infected tooth pulled yesterday. At the end of his round, we are going to do another microbiome test to see how the last month has affected his microbiome, because he's been on a lot of pain meds and stuff with that abscess, and he had emergency surgery, and like it was pretty scary. But that is going to be really fascinating to discover.
It will definitely, that will be very interesting. Just, I know this is not on topic, but because when they do those type of tests, they put in some like local antibiotics at least. Has he craved more fermented foods or anything? Just off topic here.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think necessarily. He's been eating a lot of coconut yogurt. So that's been something he's been really into. And he's actually wanting to write an ebook for people who are in recovery for dental problems, who want to stay raw and get a lot of, bone focused nutrition to help heal the jaw after like a tooth extraction or an implant or something like that. So he wants to write a book about that, because it would be really important for people, and also for people with TMJ or dentures. There's a lot of people who want to do raw but can't because they can't chew properly, or they have other dental issues. So this would be really beneficial for them too, to have raw options that are easy to eat.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I just want to finish what I was saying.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No. So when I did microbiome test like years ago, and that was like I also took some antibiotics
Mhm.
like some years ago before that. And I took the microbiome because I was watching Lisa's video, but the result didn't make any sense to me. And I just said, okay, that's just useless. And I just left it. And Lisa read it, and it was completely different. And I mean, I understood it much better. So if anyone took it or interested in taking it, I think contacting Lisa is definitely worth it because she really is a nerd into this microbiome. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm definitely a nerd, that's for sure.
I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, anyone else? Marabella, go for it.
I just have a question about the microbiome. I've heard of, I know that where it is and what it is, but could you explain it a little bit more
Mhm.
and how maybe our guts are affected with one type of diet versus the raw food?
Yes. Oh, great question. So the microbiome or the microbiota, that's actually the more scientific word for it, is the colony of bacteria that live within our gut. And there are actually more cells of bacteria that live in our gut than there are cells in our entire body. So when we want to nourish every cell in our body, that includes all of them, right? And they thrive on fiber and fiber variety. So the more variety that you get in your diet, the more they grow. They love variety. So that's something that we need to look for. And when you get a microbiome test, there's usually like a range of like different types of species of bacteria in your gut. And you want to try to get over 1,000. If you can get over 1,200, you're doing really good. But over 1,000 different species in your gut live there and they thrive on fiber. So what happens, there's 3 different things with the probiotics. There's the prebiotic, there's the probiotic, and then there's the postbiotic. So the prebiotic is the fiber and the fiber variety. This is what feeds the probiotics. And the probiotics are the bacteria. They produce something called a postbiotic. And that's what we get from feeding the microbiome. So it's a synergistic kind of like, we aren't human. Actually, this is really interesting. 0.5% of our DNA is human. The 99.5% of the rest of our DNA is our microbiome, which is fascinating. And that's how they say that diet can turn on or off genes because it's our microbiome. And that's why high fiber is linked with lower cancer rates and things like that. And those genetic issues stem from because of our microbiome isn't being fed. So we need to feed them the fiber, the whole fiber. They love both soluble and insoluble are both really important for growing it. And your microbiome is going to shift and change every day depending on what you're eating. And it's going to shift and change by the season too. Because, you get persimmon season, you're going to be eating a lot of persimmons. Your persimmon bacteria is going to be like, yay. But, and then you're in a different stage where maybe you're eating a lot more greens and those bacteria are going to grow a little bit more. But it's like kind of like a nice shifty wave going on in there. So the goal is to get a high amount of the probiotics and lower the amount of pathogenic bacteria, which are going to be the more, causing bacteria for the disease. So yeah, that's it affects our health. It affects everything. Our gut produces most of our serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter in our gut to signal to our brain to do certain things. They actually produce 3 different kinds of short chain fatty acids. And the short chain fatty acids are anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. They're super health promoting and they heal leaky gut. They keep our gut strong. It's butyrate, acetate, and propionate. And these are 3 of the short chain fatty acids that we want. And certain foods produce more of certain ones. Onions, garlic, the psyllium husk, any bitter greens, those are going to really help produce more butyrate, which is a really important short chain fatty acid that we want to make more of. And when we get our microbiome healthy, that in turn helps with our hormones, keeping our hormones, in check and stuff like that. And of course, we're still going to fluctuate because as women, we're going through perimenopause. Naturally, we stop making estrogen. That's just like a fact. So we want to support our body through that process because it can be pretty turbulent for some people. Some people don't notice as many symptoms. And obviously on a raw diet, you're definitely not going to have as many symptoms as someone on a standard American diet or on other diets. But the microbiome does shift based on what you're eating. If you're eating, like a lot of animal products, which have zero fiber, those are going to feed putrefactive bacteria. And, you're not challenging your gut with fiber. So a lot of people who do really low fiber diets for long periods of time, they sometimes go back to eating animal products and they're like, my gut is flawless, but they're not eating any fiber. Like they're not actually challenging their gut. And it's interesting when we eat fiber and you get a little gas or bloating or whatever, that's your microbiome growing and doing its thing, which is totally normal. Whereas people feel like they shouldn't have any gas or bloating, like somehow that makes flawless digestion. But if somebody has no gas or bloating ever, I worry about their microbiome because they should have a little bit of gas. That's activity. That's them producing the short chain fatty acids and things. It's when it gets to be too much and it's uncomfortable or painful. That's when you just did a little bit too much fiber for them. And you just need to pull back a little bit and then work slowly up to more fiber. That can be really helpful too. But yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say off the back of that microbiome is we have microbiomes all over our body.
Yes.
And I saw this doctor, and that's important to know that there's that genetic aspect all over the body, which is like much higher than we actually have in the cells of our body. But there's a doctor I saw on a documentary who spoke about how now that he knows so much about the microbiome and that we do, he tells his children not to play on wheelchairs at airports because those wheelchairs have had a huge amount of different microbiomes of sick people sitting in them. Mm-hmm. And he says, in fact, as a doctor, when somebody comes in now that is extremely unwell, he will always wear gloves. If an athlete comes in, he will touch them. And it's funny because this takes it to a new level. We become who we hang around, right? Yes. And I know some people could get offended by this, but it's just the reality. Like this is just how this works. And I found that like so fascinating.
It is so fascinating. And another thing that's really fascinating along the whole lines of like we are who we hang out with, back in the day when we used to do a lot more fermenting, we would share the ferments with those in the community. Like we would make a sauerkraut, you get your hands in the sauerkraut and you get your bacteria in the sauerkraut, even though everything's sterilized, you wash your hands or whatever, they're still on your hands. They don't fully go away, but you're making the sauerkraut and then you share it with your neighbor and your neighbor might make you kimchi or something and you trade these ferments. Yeah. And so the whole community would have, sharing of the bacteria. So that's another thing along those lines. Whereas, families that eat together tend to have the same diseases because of the bacteria that they share, the same foods that they eat, the same type of lifestyle that they typically lead. So yeah, those are really, really fascinating things too.
Yes. Okay. That's amazing. Okay. Anyone else on the panel have any questions? Go, Marabella.
Okay. Is there a better time to eat more fiber, a better time of the day to consume more, or does it matter? Do you feel like?
I don't think it necessarily matters. I think it's more of like an all day affair kind of a thing, right? We have lots of different kinds of fruit in our smoothies. We usually do bananas, dates, wild blueberries, pineapple, peaches, strawberries, and mango. That's usually what goes in our smoothies, and orange as well, lemon juice too. So we kind of we try every meal to have as much variety as we possibly can. So lunch is typically, like 2 or 3 different kinds of lettuce with tomatoes and cucumbers and bell pepper and things like that. And then dinner, we try to have different things if we can. You know, not every day is the same, but we'll do like heavier leafy greens with dinner, kale, dandelion greens, radicchio, endive. And we do that with our more like fat dressing where we put a little tahini or whatever in it. So throughout the day, we strive to have like a wide variety of different foods as best we can. But yeah, I don't think that there's necessarily a specific time. I think it's any time is a good
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, you know how you finally healed yourself with your microbiome and lots of fiber, and a lot of your issues look like they were originally estrogen dominance, like the excess acne and then the weight gain. Do you think it's really important for women with estrogen dominance to have that, the fiber, because estrogen is redumped back in the gut? If you are constipated, it then gets reabsorbed in like a toxic way. So that's what I'm thinking, listening to all these cleanses you did, is they haven't really fixed the fact that you need to have this gut, like a super gut, right?
Yeah. And so I was talking about this earlier. In our school, we have a community, and we did a whole talk today, this morning, about supporting daily detox and the things that we can do where we don't have to force ourselves into detox, because our bodies are detox, you know, Wonder Women, you know, like we have all these detox organs and they work all the time nonstop. That's their job. So what I found, I think, was something that really helped me is because estrogen is filtered through the liver, and we have 2 phases of detox in our cells and our liver, phase 1 and phase 2. With phase 1, the body takes whatever molecule it is, either you know, estrogen, but mostly like toxins, chemicals, and things like that. And what it does is it converts it into a highly reactive substance. This highly reactive substance causes a lot of oxidative stress, and you know, it's damaging to the body. That's where phase 2 comes in. Phase 2, the body takes either sulfur, which is why garlic and onions are absolutely amazing. You've got either sulfur, glycine, or glutathione. Those are the main 3. There's other things, but those are the main 3, especially glutathione, binds to this chemical and makes it inactive. So you get phase 1, where it makes the chemical inactive, so it's easy to release, but it's more reactive in the body. It's more harmful. And then phase 2 inactivates it so that, you know, makes it water soluble, so you can pee it out, goes through your feces, that kind of thing. If you are not supporting phase 2, which is high fiber, lots of cruciferous veggies, which gets you everything you need to make glutathione. They're also sulfur rich, onions, garlic, those kinds of things. That supports phase 2. And if you're not supporting phase 2, all these chemicals and other things are going to turn into these harmful chemicals, and they're going to float around your body, causing oxidative stress and making you feel horrible. That's where the detox symptoms come from, right? Like your headaches and your irritability and your lethargy, and you feel horrible, like you feel crappy when you're on a cleanse. Most people are not consuming enough of the phase 2 supportive nutrients to help with that, you know, the inactivation of those harmful chemicals. And I didn't have any detox symptoms when I first went raw. I did when I would do cleanses. But when I went raw, I didn't have any detox symptoms because I was eating so high fiber. And the fiber actually binds to cholesterol and takes all the toxins out of the body. So higher fiber is so essential with detox. And when I was working in the natural health industry, every company that had a herbal kit or, you know, tinctures or whatever, every company would tell us, if you sell supplements or tinctures for cleansing, sell them also a fiber supplement. It was like drilled into us. And it wasn't to upsell fiber, because the fiber was like $5, $10 or whatever, but they wanted the people to actually have a proper detox so that they could, you know, get the toxins out of their body, because most people aren't eating enough fiber. They really aren't. So they're getting all these symptoms, especially if you go from a really low fiber diet to a restrictive low fiber diet. And then you get all these detox symptoms and you're like, why do I feel so crappy? It's because, you know, you're not getting enough of those supportive nutrients and fiber to pull that out. So I think that was really what helped to pull out a lot of that excess estrogen for me. And it really helped support my liver and my microbiome as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, on the panel, who else has a question?
Mhm.
It's amazing. I would like to ask if you have incorporated a lot more of curcumin, and have you tried Shilajit as well? Because it helps a lot with the postmenopausal or just with the bone density loss that people may experience after.
Mm.
Yeah, have you tried, Lisa?
No, that's not something that I have tried or probably will try. I haven't, done a lot more research into it. But the curcumin, we do raw turmeric. So
Yeah.
we'll do a lot of raw turmeric. We get the, the raw root at the store. We'll add that to our dressings. We do a lot of turmeric powder because we eat a lot of curry dishes. So
Yeah.
we're like kind of like obsessed with that. But yeah, I haven't tried the Shilajit. Hasn't been on my radar. So focusing more on the ashwagandha kind of rhodiola thing right now. But who knows where things will go? I might adventure into that.
There's also chaga and different mushrooms that can support or connect or add to rhodiola. So that will be interesting for you to experience. But I was just fascinated with the vest that you're adding and all the benefits that has on the bone health.
Oh
So
my
thank you
gosh.
for sharing that.
You're
And yeah, I
welcome.
know that you love the curries. I love it as well. And the fenugreek together, they're just gonna make
Ooh.
magic.
Oh my gosh, totally, right? The fenugreek is like next level. I love the fenugreek sprouts so much. They're so soft to chew. They're so good. But yeah, the weighted vest has been definitely a game changer. And I'm really excited to see like what I like to do, because I like to test, like microbiome or DEXA scan or whatever. I like to test and then do one change, keep everything the same and do one change and then test again and see like, how things are going. So right now it's the weighted vest. That's like, on the chopping block, so to speak. Like I want to see
Yeah.
what that's going to change for my bone density. It's going to be really interesting.
Yes, and I mean, it's gonna be keeping everything flowing with the movement and the walking. I'm sure you're feeling amazing, and I think also your sleep levels, like the quality that you're having, it's gonna be so much higher. And
Oh my
thank you for sharing that. I was talking to a friend that she was struggling a lot with the cortisol levels, and I was like, you have to see this because I'm sure that it's gonna be so beneficial. And so thank you for sharing all of that steps that you have been doing during your health journey. And yeah, what else? Oh yeah, I was just trying to remember because it's so interesting where you stop worrying and stop stressing and just focusing on the raw foods, and that's where your attention really was directed, and all this beautiful process or transformation that has been for you and Nate, and the creations that you have been doing, and all these people, including myself, with all your recipes, and it just the beautiful thing of pouring your energy into that, and all this um, magic that you have created and share with everybody else, even your community, and all these things that have been from that root of just focusing on that, and your body just kind of felt aligned with it and just heal. So that's so just so beautiful
Oh.
way to see how your attention went to that, and the magic that you're creating. Even in your drawings that I have seen that you have shared, that you just like, okay, you're more in attunement within yourself, and it just shows in everything you create. So
Oh,
thank you
thank
for inspiring.
you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I found like because in my past I would always be symptom focused, like I want to get rid of this or I want to do this or I want to lose weight or I want to blah blah blah. Well, I'd always be like trying to do something to get rid of something, get rid of my acne, get rid of my hormone imbalances. But when I let all of that go, I was like, I'm not even going to bother with it. I'm going to focus on just hyper nourishing myself. They just all changed on their own. Like I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was focus on eating abundance and having fun and just living my life. And it was just a beautiful shift because I was so used to being stuck in that, like, yeah, I need to lose weight kind of a, you know, it was such a struggle because you wouldn't see things right away, right? But instead I would just be like, today I'm a raw vegan and I'm just gonna eat raw food today. And then I just wake up the next day and do it all over again. 11 years go by and here I am.
I
Your
love that so
affirmation
much.
meditation does that.
Oh, yes.
That was great. I have a quick question.
Can I just say something off the back of that just quickly about how Lisa finally, like I did the same, is instead of I've got to get rid of this, I got to get rid of this, it's like, I love raw food. I love my walk. I love my sleep. And then you can't not get more love. You can't not start creating paintings and be like, I love this painting. And it's like giving me goosebumps. It was when I very similarly finally hit a point in my life where it was no more shedding and I've got to fix this. It was like, love this. And yeah, so sorry, I just wanted to end that on that because it's such a powerful thing to fall in love with everything you do.
Totally.
Sky and Lisa is definitely a leading example and inspiring, raw readers. And I really appreciate and, deep respect for both of you. So thank you so much for inspiring us, both of you.
Thank you, Kiko. You're so sweet.
We love you.
We love you.
We love you. So, you mentioned you use nuts in your salad, and I am now very much focused on omega-3 and omega-6 because I've been experiencing some inflammation, and so when you you add some Chronometer or ChatGPT, you can check on omega-3 and 6 ratio. And I've been playing with that, and I'm quite surprised that even if I pay attention to omega-3 fatty acids, which is chia seeds or flax seeds, mine doesn't go up to 2:1. I'm trying to get to 4:1. And I'm listening to you, I'm thinking that yours won't also go to, it would be higher on omega-6 fatty acids. Is that correct? Or
yeah, I would say some days that we're usually around the 4:1 to maybe even like 6:1.
Really?
Isn't always ideal. We do the cashews but we don't do a lot as much. Like we try to keep our like nuts that are omega-6 rich to about a shot glass a day. That's ideal. It's not like that every day. But the striving is, a little shot glass, which is probably about 2 tablespoons worth of chopped nuts. That's the amount of omega-6 that we'll use. And then we do 1 to 2 or more tablespoons of chia or flax in the day. And that can help to balance it. But also omega-3, there's a lot of omega-3 in berries and greens. So you're actually getting a fair amount in there that might not necessarily be tracked. Like if you're just looking at fats alone, like if you're comparing a 1/4 cup of cashews with 3 tablespoons of chia, and you're just comparing those two, yes, the ratio is going to be way off. But if you do everything that you eat for the day in Chronometer, and that's why ours is about 4:1, because if we include everything that we eat in a day, a whole head of romaine lettuce has 70% of your omega-3s for the day. A whole head of romaine lettuce. Berries, specifically blackberries, are really high in omega-3 as well. So if you're doing like a blackberry smoothie, you've got a really big salad for lunch, and then with a chia in your dressing, and then you have a little bit of omega-6 fats in your dinner dressing, your day is going to look very different because you're getting omega-3s in a lot of your fruits and veggies that aren't counted if you're just comparing the two. So does that help? To clarify?
Yeah, but how do you add all these? Because you eat so many varieties per day, right? How do you manage to add all that in Chronometer?
Well, we don't track every day. Definitely don't track every day. It's more of like a once in a while kind of thing now. In the beginning, I tracked every day just to make sure that I was getting enough, I was eating enough. I was learning about nutrition. So I was doing it every day. Now we do it once in a while just to see if we're on track, just if we're curious. But yeah, like when we're entering it, will be like 1 cup of strawberries, 1 mango, 2 tablespoons of chia or whatever it is, 8 cups, or we do it by grams as well, because, sometimes we'll weigh stuff out, like, especially if we make the wraps, we already have all the weights. So we just enter that into Chronometer, and it does take a little bit of time, but it really does show a better picture of your overall omega-3 and 6 intake, because it's going to be a lot different than if you're just entering chia and cashews, for example. You're going to get a different ratio if you add, like all the greens. Like your romaine's going to add a lot of omega-3 to your day. So
Interesting. What do you add the flaxseed oil, the processed one?
no, we don't do oils at all of any kind. So we don't do the flax oil. We just do like flax added to dressing, usually our lunch dressing, which is the fruity based one, usually with dates or whatever. We'll do like 1 or 2 tablespoons of chia seeds in there, mostly chia seeds. We do flax in our wraps sometimes as well, so there's that. But or we'll sometimes sprinkle ground flax on our salads as kind of like a crunchy topping sort of thing. And we also grate a Brazil nut. Like we have a microplane garlic grater, so we'll grate a Brazil nut on our salad just for our selenium. They'll say you're like, yeah, it's like, we got to do the little things, because as a raw foodie, it takes a little extra planning. And most people who are eating animal products, they don't worry about selenium at all, because there's, some in animal products. But when you're raw, especially raw, you're not eating cooked food either. You're not eating all the cooked grains and all that stuff that could have extra selenium. So it's easy to forget about selenium. And over time, I have seen, people losing their hair, which is actually a symptom of selenium deficiency. And that can be something that some raw foodies, I get people message me like, I'm losing my hair. They're eating really high fruit. They're not really getting any, as much selenium day by day by day by day. And it adds up. Like you can be deficient for a long period of time until your hair starts falling out. And then you're like, oh, I really got to do something about this. But just grating a little bit of Brazil nut on your salad can help you to get your daily amount of selenium. All you need is 1 a day, or even half a day. You don't need a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. I saw that grading technique from Nate's Instagram, and I've been doing that. I love that. It looks like a Parmesan cheese on the
right. Totally. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. I was just going to say off the back of that, I did not think of this. So if you're doing blackberries and romaine for omega-3s, what I notice, and I am missing my stomach, so I'm like really sensitive to absorption. Mm-hmm. I notice it takes a lot for my body to get something out of a seed or nut, even ground. But if something is in even a smaller amount in fruit, it will seems to get into my system much quicker. And that we need to take into consideration as well. But also on the back of that, having a stronger microbiome, your body is going to be able to assimilate omega-3s from nuts and seeds probably very, very well, right?
Yeah. And also chewing. That's one thing that I think a lot of people don't remember to do. And I still work on it as well. Like we live in this really fast-paced life, and we just, we have to eat, we have to feel full for hours, and, so we can do all the things in our day. But the easiest, cheapest way to get more nutrition out of what you eat is to chew your food longer. Because the more you chew your food, think about it, the more you chew your food, the more surface area is exposed, so your bacteria can further digest everything. And I get people message me and they're like, oh, I don't digest corn because I go to the bathroom and there's whole pieces of corn in my stool. And I'm like, well, if you're not chewing it, then, you don't have teeth in your stomach. we have to chew our food, right? And the rest of our digestive tract looks up and is like, hey, you didn't do your job, right? Like we have to chew. This is where digestion starts. If you don't do a good job up here, it's not going to do very well down there. So, yeah.
Yes.
And also how important is the microbiome in our mouth?
Oh, yes.
Where it all starts.
Whew, that's a whole other topic. That's a really good one as well. I actually was talking about that this morning in our community as well. I use this toothpaste. It's dental powder. It's called Simply Suni, and it's xylitol with nano hydroxyapatite. And this,
there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a vegan. It's strawberry flavored. I really like this one. This is my favorite. I just got it off Amazon. And you just wet your toothbrush and then dip it in there and then brush your teeth with it. The xylitol actually is super beneficial for your oral microbiome. That's really important. And also oxygen stuff. So I've got this one too. This is
I'll pull it
from,
back up.
yeah,
That's it.
okay.
Oh yeah, that's I use that.
Yeah, so Essential Oxygen. This is a rinse. They have toothpaste as well. We have the toothpaste. We use that usually when we travel. But yeah, this is the Essential Oxygen rinse because bacteria can't really live in like an oxygenated environment. So we want to get our microbiome in our mouth on point as well. And that's something too with your partner. Like you want to work with your partner
Yes.
because if they're not changing their oral health, like if you're kissing them, you know, you're trading bacteria and you're just like, I worked so hard to like get my teeth, you know, good. I mean, like you're not using the same toothpaste or you're not doing this or whatever. Like you're just trading it back and forth, which can be, you know, hard. And that's like with Candida as well. If your partner has Candida overgrowth and you are like working hard not to, you know, intercourse can actually share that yeast as well.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you work with them. So you both deal with the Candida so you don't pass it back and forth, because that's another reason why people, you know, they struggle with it long term because, you know, their partner has it and doesn't even know and just keeps giving it back to you, which can be a challenge as well. But yeah, thank you for mentioning the microbiome in your mouth because that's important too, you know?
Yes, it's so important. And then there's simple steps that you can add to your routine, like tongue scraper. It's the first
Yes.
thing, and Ayurvedic it tells you like you remove, you clean, and then well, this toothpaste I use a different brand, but it's the same ingredients. So just stick with those that are super beneficial. The Mount rinse as well. It's so helpful. You know. One thing that I incorporated was mouth tape because all the saliva, it's like what it's keeping your microbiome and the to keep away the cavities. It's
Yeah.
basically the saliva is what is working. And if you are having a way of, how do you say it? An airway that it's blocked during your sleep and you having your mouth open,
It
that
dries it
saliva
out.
that
Yeah.
dries it up, and the xylitol it's perfect to have more saliva. And yeah, mouth taping is a good option too, and you just have to be careful with the brands that you use because some like the adhesive is not good. And yeah, just simple little steps that can really help your microbiome in your mouth.
Totally. I love that you mentioned all those things. They're so important and easy to do. Like you said, like just tape your mouth, you know, because another thing too is your saliva carries all the minerals. And that's why greens are so important because you can remineralize your teeth through your saliva while we sleep. And that's why you want to keep your mouth closed. So, you know, your saliva doesn't dry out because then the acidity wears away the enamel. But also look at your toothpaste for those watching. Glycerin is one of those ingredients that is in a lot of natural toothpaste. That's why I choose these ones because there is no glycerin. Because glycerin, they discovered that it coats the teeth, and that, you know, they were like, oh, glycerin's great to put in toothpaste because it coats your teeth, you know, keeps the acidity. But the problem is, you know, you brush your teeth at night, you've got that glycerin coating your teeth. The saliva can't remineralize your teeth properly. So it's blocking your saliva from remineralizing. So I don't have glycerin in any of my tooth products. Like I won't, because I want to remineralize. I want to keep my teeth strong as possible, you know?
Isn't that the same thing for oil? Because they're like oil-based, like coconut-based oil or different kind of oil-based toothpaste. Do you avoid that as well?
No, I think the oil is a little different. It doesn't coat it the same way as the glycerin. This one has, or the toothpaste that I have for this has coconut oil in it. And oil pulling is also another good one that people like to do as well. But I don't think the oil is the same as the glycerin. I think the glycerin is kind of like a sticky coating that coats your teeth and just prevents the saliva.
what usually happens with oils is because there's like an electric current that can still get through, like the minerals that are in a lot of oils that people put in their hair or teeth can still create a communication between the tooth, the oil, and then the saliva or anything going on. It sounds like the glycerin is just non and void, like it's like a blocker that's capped on, and it's just blocked all that communication. Because oils can be, especially when I first started healing, I was, you saw me, I was very unwell. The amount of times my body craved just oil coated on me. And I think it was because it just needed some extra protection, but also I read there's a lot of minerals, and I was craving magnesium baths, and you guys hear I go in the ocean nonstop. It was like this mineral overload that my body needed. And then I read that that's the reason is there's a lot of minerals in the oils.
Very cool. Yeah, it's amazing. Oil pulling is definitely a technique that a lot of people do use, and I think it can be beneficial for that as well.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we should be avoiding glycerin based product for our skin or hair?
That one I don't know. I'd like to do a little more research on that. But I don't think there's a whole lot. I mean, glycerin soap might be something, but I think it's specific to the saliva not being able to penetrate. But I don't know. It would be really interesting to do a little more research on that for sure.
Wow. And I don't know if it's included in the floss. Do you know if it's that ingredient is in them? I don't think so, but I'm not sure now.
Most flosses use beeswax, which isn't vegan. But we use a brand called Cocoa Floss, and they are recycled threads. I don't know exactly what they use to make them, but it's coated in coconut oil. And they're a really cool brand. So that's the floss that we use. And for mouth tape, do you have a suggestion for mouth tape? I see that in the chat.
Yeah, I use Down to Earth. That's the brand that I use. I'm not affiliated, but we love them. The kids love it. It just feels so good when you wake up, and it helps a lot. Like there's so many beneficial stuff, even for your spine, the way that you sleep, because it's this blockage of airway that is gonna be just bringing more consequences on your posture, on the way you breathe, and I think it's another topic that you can dive into it. But I think if you're sleeping or snoring or just opening your mouth, it's better to have it closed, and it's a way to help you. There's different stuff that for kids I have heard that you can apply to, so you can improve that airway blockages to get better on your microbiome, and also reverse cavities and things like that.
Nice.
So, but that's just with another like biomimetic dentistry that can help you with that.
Nice. Oh, love this discussion. This is so good.
Yeah, so I
It's so
just wanted to
interesting
say,
and fascinating because other people are having, sorry, Sky, people that have like root canals, and you have no idea what you can find in there, like parasites, things like that, like a lot of not good stuff that we can carry, and we don't even know until it's like you have dive into a lot of like paths until you get to the root of your teeth. And that's where you discover. And people that have had this wisdom tooth removals, and then they have this like the doctors usually they say no, it's gonna close by itself, but then when you're brushing on those specific period of time that you experience the removal, you cannot like brush properly, and then there's this bacteria and it accumulates. And I have heard people that after years they discover that they have this type of abscess or things like that, and they have to have like a 3D scan or something, and they see that there's infection in there. So it's so interesting. I would love to hear.
Yeah, that's totally what happened, similar to Nate with his emergency surgery. What happened was he had a tooth that he had worked on since he was a kid. He had a filling in there when he was a kid, and then when he was in his 20s or whatever, I don't know what age, but he had it refilled. And then he had, just about 6 years ago, he had the mercury filling removed and replaced with ceramic. So that tooth had a lot of work done to it. And just last month, he had some pain. So he went into the dentist and they were like, oh, there's a little decay behind the filling because the filling was cracking. It was falling off. So they wanted to re-drill. When they re-drilled, that tooth had been so traumatized over his life that it just cracked down to the root when they drilled into it.
Oh,
And so the dentist just filled the filling and everything was good. He felt fine that night. The next day, he started to grow an abscess. And for the next 3 days, we weren't even in Nevada. We were in Sedona we were catering a raw food retreat. He went to the ER 3 times because every day it was getting bigger and bigger. And finally, on the last day, we left early and we went to the emergency in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is about an hour away. They admitted him immediately. They did a CT scan and they had to drain the abscess. They had like a 10-inch tube in his face. And yeah, they had to drain it. And he was on antibiotics the whole time. And it was just crazy because like the dentist, he got it removed yesterday. Yesterday, they pulled the tooth because, it's cracked to the root. It's dead. There's no feeling left in it. And why keep a dead body part in your face? That's what a root canal is. It's a mummified body part. Basically, like if your toe was gangrenous, you wouldn't mummify it and leave it on. You would cut it off. So unfortunately, that's something that happens, but he had it removed and he'll get an implant. But the dentist was like, the other dentist that we saw was like hardcore. He was like, no, we need to do a root canal. And Nate's like, I will never get a root canal. He's like, I just pull the tooth because he does not want root canals. And I don't ever want root canals either. That's definitely not something that I'll ever do. But yeah, it's scary stuff.
I'm so glad he's recovering, and
Yeah.
so
It's been a
sorry that he had
long-
to go through all of this.
I know, the emergency surgery and, all his recovery and everything. Like, it was scary. We were worried that it was going to grow into his throat and block his airway. And every time he'd go to the ER in Sedona, they would just send him home with meds. They're like, oh, give it 48 hours or whatever. And he's like, I've already given it 48 hours. They're like, no, keep going, blah, blah, blah. But eventually we had to go to the ER in another city where they had a bigger hospital, and they immediately took him in. They're like, no, we got to get this fixed, So grateful for the people in Flagstaff for helping, but it was crazy. Yeah.
So stressful for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, but
Okay. I was just going to quickly mention there's some comments coming through down the bottom. I was just going to mention back on the glycerol, the glycerine. I always think before I put something on my body, like coconut oil, almond oil, flaxseed oil, any of them are still to me very close to a whole food. They're not the whole food, but they are not taken to another level. And I think when you take something to another level, it's worth definitely doing more research on because it's extremely concentrated. So I was going to say that. So on down the bottom here, because I did have a root canal, and the only reason I kept my tooth was because there's 2 reasons. One, it was the front tooth, but the second reason was because I have mast cell activation syndrome. Any time in my life, I've had over 60 surgeries, a doctor put something in, which would be, so being the front tooth, if it was the back tooth, I reckon I could get away with not actually having a tooth. But if they had to put a brace in my mouth or a new tooth, like a replacement,
An implant,
implant, my body reacts really badly to foreign objects. So that was why I decided it. But there is some questions down here about what if I've already had it. I've never heard root canals are bad. So do you want to go into that, Lisa?
Yeah. So if you search on YouTube, I believe that it's up there. It used to be on Netflix long time ago, but they took it down because they don't want this information out there. It's a movie documentary called The Root Cause. So just go on YouTube and search The Root Cause. That'll give you so much more information about it. But root canals, when we were talking to the dental assistant yesterday, who was like, you know, he was kind of pro root canal. We were like, no, bro, like we're never gonna get that. He was like, really, why? And we were telling him some kinds of things, but he was like so pro. But he also told us, he's like, well, root canals only last like 5 years or so, and then you usually have to get it pulled anyways. And I was like, well, then what's the point? You know, like why are you gonna have this like thing? But some people have it last like 10 years or so, but then something's going to happen to that dead. And plus the bone around the roots disintegrates over time because there's no, you know, there's no tooth there. There's no roots that the body needs to feed. So the bone around the tooth roots where they used to be disintegrates as well. So there's that to keep in mind too. But yeah, if you have a root canal, I mean, this is what we would do. I'm not saying like everyone should do this because everyone has different reasons. Like Sky has, you have your reasons or what have you, but we would probably just get ours pulled and replaced with an implant. Nate has 3 implants. I was going to get one in my back because I had a tooth up here that I should have removed like 15 years ago before I was raw. That tooth was like giving me problems a long time ago. But it time for it to come out. So I had it pulled and they wanted to do an implant back there. But because like you said, Sky, like, you know, when it's the back tooth, it's like,
oh yeah, you wouldn't bother me.
I didn't even get an implant there. But you know, like Nate has titanium posts. And his body does really well with titanium. He used to have some in his wrist when he broke his wrist, so he doesn't react to that. But they also have zirconium and ceramic as options as well for the post, for the root, for the implant that you just put on top. So, but you know, it's such a personal choice, you know, like you can't say one way is, you know, better than the other. But the root canal, it's like a low-grade infection for the rest of your life that you have that tooth in you. And in the movie, I don't know the exact percentages of how it goes, but they said something like really mind-blowing that most women who have breast cancer have a root canal on the same side as their breast cancer. So that was really interesting when I read it too. And also this is not vegan and it's pretty cruel that they did this to rabbits, but they would take a root canal tooth and put it in the skin of a rabbit, and the rabbit would get the same diseases as the person that had the root canal, which was fascinating as well. So, you know, it's a pretty deep topic and really interesting.
Yeah, I will suggest search
yeah.
for a biomimetic dentistry that is nearby you. There's some you can search it and find because there's a specific type of doctors that are into it, that are certified, and just go for it and do your own research. I will if you are struggling with something like that, I will search for one of those. And yeah, that's a very good documentary that you can see. It's really interesting. It's a whole story.
Yeah. I wanted to just say that I feel like this, because it was my front tooth, that having the root canal, the issue with it, is a total representation of my overall health. And I'll give you guys some examples. So when that tooth when it flared up, I had been very sick and it was totally calm when I healed on raw foods. When I got really high into fruits, I started to get teeth problems, including the more fruit I ate, the more this tooth got worse. So I had 2 more surgeries last year. I was knocked out for the surgeries, so there's recovery time. And to be honest, it did not make a huge difference until I got stuck into mineral dense foods and the pain is completely gone. If I start doing grapes again, it burns across the top. But on the back of this tooth hurting is my gut hurts, that side hurts. It's like, to me, it's like you hear people who they're like, the tooth health is highly related to cardiac arrest health. Like people having cardiac arrest usually have teeth problems as well. But the thing that brought it all home for me was recently I went back to a chiropractor and a really good one, a kinesiologist one as well. And I swear he corrected something which must have been sitting there for a long time. I'd seen them, but somebody actually said kinesiologists who are chiropractors are much better. And when he set my neck back, the crack went straight through the tooth. As in the tooth went like, it was like being, so it corrected that the atlas bone at the top had twisted, which happens to most people who are on these healing journeys. And as he used the right force from the right angle, like I spoke to him for an hour on my journey before we even got into it. It was amazing. And he corrected it. And I felt like my head moved back across, but the sharp electricity that went through that front tooth, and I have not had much. And he's done a small supportive adjustment since, but it's just, I just think it's so true that oral health, teeth health is a great indicator of overall health. And I will say I'm able to get a little bit of fruit back in now, but I use that tooth as my tester. And when it starts, it burns across the top. And as it does, I pull back. It seems the more minerals for me that I get in right now is just like, it's like, give me those like cruciferous and give me any, like it wants even carrots over and herbs over watery. I used to have a lot of cucumber. So really listen to your body and listen to your teeth.
Agreed. I know, right? They tell a story. They really
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
And depending the tooth, you can also see the meridians and
Yes.
the organs are connected to it.
Yeah.
And if you have removed them, you can search what herbs or what foods you can support your body to replenish what they were doing or helping in your body, right? So yeah, you can have a lot of information with that. And I'm happy that happened to you, Sky, that it just like a
Yeah.
like the switch of it. And it's so interesting because we are electric beings, but there's also different type of fascia releases on your tongue and in because if you think about it, in our jaw we have a lot of tension from all the trauma that our body has been through. So the teeth are going to be like very forced, and there's some different type of movements and fascia releases that you can see and perform, or people can perform on you because it's so hard to do it by yourself, but you can do it as well. So that's another thing that you can support your body with, in like with some of these movements. And yeah, it's quite interesting. I haven't done the tongue one, but I'm somebody has to do it for me. So I will do it and let you know how it goes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I know all the things that we can do for our health. It's just mind blowing, you know?
It definitely
So
is.
much.
It definitely is. Just a lot of comments. And I was just gonna, there's one, I have missed a lot of comments. Sorry guys, there has been a lot today. But just the name of the dentist that you were saying, Dulce?
It's biomimeric dentistry or dentist. So you search about it, and it's just the holistic approach of
Yeah.
of the dentist.
We have holistic
Biomimeric.
dentists. Like,
Yeah.
so okay, that was amazing. I just we are at 8:30, so I will start winding it up. Does anyone have anything they want to add extra before we wind that up?
Ooh.
Go for it, Marabella.
Thank you so much for being here. I've learned so much from you. And I was wondering if you do coaching or counseling, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching. It's like a private Zoom call. Again, it's a $125 USD an hour, and we just basically, it's kind of like a brainstorming session, right? Like you fill out a form, answer a lot of the questions, like what type of diet you eat, what are your goals, and that kind of thing. And then we just brainstorm together ways that you can implement it into your life. So we do that. We also have our school community. It's the Raw Food Romance School community, and anyone who's interested in raw food can join. You don't have to be a fully raw vegan to join, just you have to have a love of raw food and you want to add more into your diet. In there, we do monthly challenges, and the monthly challenges have daily posts. This month is a skin health challenge. So there's a new ingredient every day and a lifestyle thing that you can practice. And then we have raw food classes. Nate and I will come on Zoom and we share, at least one is guaranteed, but sometimes we'll do 2 or 3 depending on the month. And then we have our Zoom Hangouts, which is what we did this morning. We talked about daily detox support. So there was that. And then we have our ebooks, and I'm on Instagram. People can ask me questions on Instagram. I'm very happy to help wherever I can. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I feel
I will add all that. I will add all of that as well. So you can get Lisa, get access to all of that, so that you guys can access that. I'll also, everyone here who shared any products or information, I will get off them afterwards, because then I can put that on the post for you guys as well. Does anyone else on the panel have anything before we get going?
No, just thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This was so awesome and such a great conversation. Because, it's not just about hormonal health, it's overall health. And as we age, our teeth, I'm glad that we talked a lot about that too, because that's another thing that we have to really pay attention to when we get older. But yeah, it's been so wonderful. I love all of you and everyone watching. I'm deeply grateful for being part of this.
Oh, we love that. Also, Lisa will be back, if the times all suit and everything. She'll be back on the panel as a regular. So today she was special guest, but she'll be a regular.
I would love to join. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was not enough. I'm just I have so many questions. I shut my mouth because it's not gonna fit into 1 hour and a half. But yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. You are an amazing inspiration for so many, and I learn. And again, it's just daily adjustment and improvement, right? Even for you have been doing it for such a long period of time. Just improving and improving. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, shifting through different stages of life. We gotta move with it.
We definitely do. I actually had one last question, and you may have already done this, but where you're at in your life, you are extremely able with, you've evolved into all the different things you do. Have you ever written, or would you ever write like a Lisa starter guide? Because I know people want to do like the baby steps of like things. Or maybe you have something where people can start, because I know they're like, oh my God, she's walking like, what is it? 23 miles a day with a weighted vest, and she comes home and she has this raw, delicious dish, and she's got the self-care. And is there a place that may be like, or I just wondering.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. We have an ebook called 52 to a New You. And it's our version of a raw vegan transition guide, kind of like, it goes over a little bit of it's not like super in depth, but you get a fair amount of information. So it goes into microbiome a little bit, how to transition into a raw diet slowly over, it's about 6 months. The transition to raw. And then the next 6 months are lifestyle hacks, like, adding the 10,000 steps a day or doing 100 squats a day. So every week you're doing something new and you practice that for the week. And then the next week you keep that up, but you add another thing. So every week you're adding something new to your change. And you could do it in 52 days if you wanted to, or you could do it in 52 weeks, or you could do it over 2 years. You can kind of go at your own pace, because each week is kind of like a new chunk. Like first you go vegan, then you learn about different, how to go raw. First 1 week you release grains, the next week you release something else, and eventually you're doing 2 meals raw a day, kind of thing. Like, so it's a gradual change, because honestly, like a lot of us want to jump right into being raw 100% overnight, pure and perfect, like it's such a draw to be able to do that. But most people don't have the ability to. Their microbiome might be totally damaged. They might not have the finances or whatever it is. Maybe they just need baby steps. And that's exactly, that would be the book that we would recommend. But I would love to do more of a personal one. I have when I first went raw, after a year raw, I started writing my journals from day to day, like what I ate most days. And I kept a journal. And I wanted to do like my journaling for the day and then what I think about it 10 years later, like it's been a decade, when I read it, like what are my thoughts on what my journal entry was like and how I've changed and what I would do differently if I could do it again, knowing what I know, kind of a thing. So that, it's kind of been on the back burner for like 9 years.
Wow.
But, it's one of my millions of things that I want to actually create, but yeah.
Okay, I will link that book specifically as well. So, because I feel like what is come up for me in the community a lot lately is when people just start and they see people like us doing what we do every day, is they forget that I have 4 years, you have 10 years, Kiko has 20 years, there's all these years. And I just thought if there's something that where someone's not so overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
Sky, when you say that you would link it, you would add it in the description of YouTube description. Is that right?
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So anything you guys want, you can give me that you mentioned products, Lissa's, all her details, her community, how you can have a session with her, and anything mentioned, we can put down the bottom for you guys.
Perfect.
I can
Yes.
share my code for Shilajit so people can try it.
Yes, all of that stuff we'll put below. So
Perfect.
all right, it was such an honor to be with all of you, and Lissa, just amazing for sharing, and everyone that joined us. We appreciate your connection and your comments, and we'll let you know when the next one's on next month. So yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
bye.
Love
Love you.
you.